What are the best songs off of Dookie, and what are the songs that you still listen to this day? Like, what are the ones that hold up to you? And this is just a subjective conversation more so than anything.
Okay, so let me pull up the track listing here,
Right, right,
just
right.
so I have it up. Okay, so I love the way the album starts with Burnout. To me,
Okay.
that's like the intro thesis to the album and kind of to Green Day as like that those sort of slacker anthems. Like I'm not growing up. I'm just burning out. I think that perfectly summarizes what
Right.
we're about to hit on the record. So I think that one
You're not wrong.
has always kind of stayed with me. Obviously, Longview, Welcome to Paradise. We've heard them so much, so they're very much imprinted just on all of it. But those two specifically of the hits are the two that I really care for, and I like just where they are on the album. After that, again, all that stuff in the middle is good. Pulling Teeth is good. That back part of the album where it's like when the hits kind of go away, because it's a lot of hits between tracks 4 through 10. All five hits are kind of stuffed in
Right.
there. So most of
Yeah.
those songs are kind of the songs you know. And then you go to Coming Clean, which is a pretty cool song, about his sexuality and about other people coming out of the closet. Coming Clean, Enemas Sleepless, In the End, and FOD. I just think are an amazing, almost like little EP in and of itself of how good those songs are. So I tend to kind of go around the hits just because I've heard them so often. So I like to kind of
Right.
start up when I go. I like to start at Burnout. I'll check in usually with Sassafras Roots,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Good
I
song.
go to Coming Clean all the way to the end. And just because I
Nice.
think that's more out of necessity of just having I like it's not like I don't listen to She, Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise on a very regular basis because the videos will come on all the time. They're just kind of always on. But when I'm in the mood for some early Green Day, that's sort of the route I take. I'm looking at the track list and what's kind of the route I take, and that's
So you're like
about
a
it.
B-side guy. Like you want to crack open
The
B-sides.
B sides and then the first song because I just
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
for
way it
sure.
starts with Burnout I think is just like a perfect way to like when they did I seen some of the videos when they did this live in full a couple of months ago in Vegas and it was just perfect the way that kind of just opened everything. It's such a tone setter. I believe they play Burnout at almost every single show. It's one of the non hits that gets played at almost all the shows because it's such an important song to them. Like
Well,
yeah, Coming Clean in those ones too. They also have that sort of ballady kind of feel to them too, which I do like Green Day when they're a little bit slow. I think like they're great at the fast stuff, obviously, but there's so much of it and so much of the other stuff that we listen to. I think some of their
oh
strength is in their
wow,
slower
no,
stuff.
dude, they don't have a lot of fast stuff, dude. You're wrong about that. They got a lot of mid-tempo stuff. They don't have a lot of fast stuff because all the
Okay,
fast stuff is my favorite stuff, and they don't
but
have a lot of it.
but so contrasting that to their more ballady stuff, I would say I kind of like Green Day for their more ballady stuff. I
Yeah,
tend to
I do
notice
like their
that
ballads though. I'm not saying that that's wrong or
on
anything.
the album.
Like I think the bulk of their catalog is like a mid-tempo, but they have
Yeah,
like
it's that.
they have like a small amount of the really fast stuff and a small amount of the ballad stuff. And honestly, I
Mm.
think you're right. I think that those bookends are probably my personal favorite stuff.
Yeah, and
Honestly,
it's when Green Day's kind of going at those extremes, they're really good because they're such good musicians that they can do these extremes so well, and it still sounds so very like natural. And that's the really thing that their sound like it doesn't sound like they're ever struggling to make these
right?
songs at all. They're not above their pay grade. If anything, they're just kind of showcasing a little bit of what they have, which is kind of crazy for they were able to do that even back then to just be these great musicians without necessarily a ton of training in theory, just sort of this instinctive know-how and this this the fandom they had of like rock music. I think again really just helped informed a lot of what they were putting out there. Their palette wasn't just limited just to the punk stuff. They really
Yeah.
listened to it all, talked about it all, and incorporated a lot of that into their music.
Well, I also have about an EP's worth of stuff that I have literally check marked on here. And so my 6 songs that I really, really mess with on this album, because honestly, dude, the hits outside of Basket Case, for whatever reason, I just love that song.
Mm.
But like, man, I don't know, dude. Well, Longview and Welcome to Paradise, I actively dislike those songs. Like I just don't care about them. Like, will I bob my head if they come on? If they're on in a Best Buy, will I sing along to it? Of course, I can't help it. I'm 42. But those aren't the songs that I go to listen to. I have Having a Blast, Pulling Teeth, Basket Case, She, When I Come Around, and In the End are my like favorite songs on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting into Sassafras Roots like lately. I really like that song too. So that would make 7. but She is probably my favorite song on the whole album, which I found interesting that you didn't care for it as much.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you, man, like, subjective opinion can be massively different while we both respect an album, it's
I would still rate
interesting.
the song itself very high. There's nothing on here that I rate really low. I
That's
think
that's actually a good point.
overall it's a pretty high quality album. Like I don't know if there's anything that I mean, there's stuff I'm not in the mood for all the time, but anything that's just like, oh
Right.
god, I'm not going to hear that. Maybe the hidden track, you know what I mean? But the hidden track back in the day wasn't that big of a deal. Nowadays it comes up on Spotify right there, so it makes
I
you think
hate that
like
song so much.
it's like on there.
It's so dumb.
But it was again, it was cool back because the CD would go
No.
and go and go, and maybe you were under the influence, maybe you weren't, and then that thing would pop back on and it would get you.
That did happen from time to time, but no, I never really liked that song. Never, even back in the '90s.
There's one
but-
weird. There's like a weird. It's like Trey Cool's like the Hefe, where he gets one weird song
Right.
every album.
Actually, it's a good parallel. So I think that the album overall is high quality. I think that, like you said, it's saturated in just wonderful guitar playing, poppy hooks, and beautiful melody. And I don't know. I think that the album, I don't know why I was hating on it for a while. I do think it comes from memories that it will bring forward in my head. I had a rough time when this album came out in my life. So there's part of that, just like with the Offspring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this particular listen through, or this week, I did listen to it a few times. But there's a new rejuvenated respect for the record. I would say subjectively, it's probably going to hover around at 8 for me, anyways, just because it is good, but I don't absolutely freak out about it. But objectively, I think it's probably like a 9.5 or higher. Like, it's really, really as perfect as you can get for an album like this, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, it's like it's always just pretty good. Like if it's like I always tell you, I don't have it on vinyl. My daughter's got it on vinyl. She doesn't really listen to it much, but it's always just kind of good to put on. It's not a bad one too. If I'm shuffling through and like I kind of don't want to listen to music, but I want to have something on. Dookie's kind of a good one because I know the songs well enough, but it's unobjectable enough. Like I'm not gonna have like some deep, really emotional outburst maybe during like a long, drawn out part, but it's still fun. You can sing along. It's good background music, but it's still good music in and of itself. It's just, as you said, like quality. And then I'm glad we talked about it in proximity to Smash because they really are sort of sister albums in that way. They sort of we talked about what was more important, this and that, but really they are two sides of this coin of 1994, which included Jawbreaker and Rancid and NoFX and Pennywise and all that too. But these are the supernovas that
100%. That's a great descriptive word. Those are the supernovas, the champagne supernovas. Not playing. All right.